Young little minds, welcome to another session of All 4 E-Learning program, right? So this is session number 68. We were doing with capacitors. Our chapter is capacitors. So in the previous session I have discussed about the parallel plate capacitor. So today we will take up the illustrations, some applications of parallel plate capacitor, right? Now before that, let's have a recall of what we have learned in the earlier classes, the necessary things that you need to understand the things in regarding today's topic. Okay, so charge is a fundamental property. Charge experiences. Charge are of two types: like charges repel, unlike charges attract. Well, Coulomb's inverse square law, force F proportional to Q1 Q2 by D square. Every charge has a field around it, electric field. Field intensity, electric field intensity E. Electric field intensity E is defined as the force experienced by unit charge. E is equal to F by Q. So F is equal to EQ. Now this we are going to use this in our today's topic, right? Then later electric flux, lines of force, right? Gauss law we have studied. The total electric flux through a Gaussian surface, enclosed Gaussian surface, is proportional to charge inside, right? So later electric field due to various charge distribution we have studied. Then we have talked about electric potential. Potential is the electrical state of the body which determines the direction of flow of charge. Potential, right? So potential difference or potential V is equal to W by Q, or potential difference, work done per unit charge in moving the charge from one point to another point. Next, electric potential due to various charges we have studied there. Then we have started with capacitor. A capacitor is an electrical device which is used to store electrical potential energy in the form of charge, right? So electrical potential energy is stored in it. Well, we store this in by storing the charge in it, right? Capacitor. The capacity of a capacitor C, capacity is equal to Q by V. Charge C, capacitor C is equal to Q by V. The amount of charge stored per unit potential, Q by V, is called capacity. Capacity of a capacitor C is Q by V. Later we have talked about the capacity, a simple capacitor called spherical capacitor. So suppose if I imagine a sphere of radius R, then it is charged with some charge Q in it. The amount of charge stored in it is Q, charge Q. Then the capacity of this capacitor is 4 pi epsilon naught R. It is proportional to the radius. It depends upon the size of the sphere there. So capacity C proportional to R. Then, well, the limitation, the inability of this charge is, it is of big size, but the amount of charge stored is so less that, so by comparing the charge to size, it is something very minute. So therefore, to have a high capacity in small size, a new device is being called as condenser, right? A condenser is a sophisticated thing where more charge can be stored in it in the same area of the plate there, right? So we have devised a new thing called as a parallel plate capacitor. A parallel plate capacitor, without changing the size, I am able to increase its capacity. Well, with respect to spherical charge, the capacity depends on size. The more the radius, more capacity. So to increase the capacity, I have to increase the size there. But parallel plate capacitor, without changing the size, the capacity is increased. Well, the principle of a parallel plate capacitor is C inversely proportional to V. When the potential is decreased, capacity increases. Capacity of a capacitor can be increased by decreasing its potential. Now, how do you decrease the potential of a charge? Well, first, you consider a positively charged plate, right? Consider a positive plate, a plate charged uniformly with charge Q. This is a charged plate charged uniformly with charge Q like this. Then it is fully charged to its peak level, highest level, beyond which it is unable to take any extra charge. Any extra charge given to it is leaking out to the surrounding air. Then how to increase its capacity without changing its size? Now, to increase its capacity, the principle is you have to decrease the potential. Now, how do you decrease the potential? To decrease the potential, place a neutral identical metal plate very close to it. A neutral identical metal plate very close to it. due to which, because when you place a neutral plate nearer to it, then due to electrostatic induction, well, positive charge on the plate, on this first plate, positive charge on this first plate M will induce negative charge on the side which is facing it. It induces opposite charge on the second plate, let us say N, right? Minus charge is induced this side and positive charge will be induced on the other side of the plate here. Well, because of this negative charge, the potential of this plate reduces. The presence of the negative charge reduces the potential of positive charge. So because of the negative charge, its potential is reduced. When potential decreases, capacity increases. Well, this positive charge is repelled by this positive charge. Because of this, this potential is not still further reduced. So if I remove this positive charge, the potential of the first one will be still further reduced. So to remove this, connect this to the ground. When it is connected to the ground, all the positive charge is lost. Well, electrons from the ground reach the plate, so positive charge is neutralized. Then the only negative charge on this plate still further reduce the potential of this plate. Capacity increases. Now if I place a dielectric between the plates of a capacitor, when a dielectric is placed between the plates of a capacitor, then potential decreases further, increasing its capacity. So here, without changing the size of the capacitor, by small adjustments, I am able to increase the capacity innumerable number of times. So this construction, this newly devised thing is called as a condenser. Well, the same thing is now in the present scenario, we will be speaking it as capacitor only. So we have used two parallel plates. So this is termed as a parallel plate capacitor. Well, in a parallel plate capacitor, if the charge that is stored on it is plus Q here, then the charge induced on the other one is minus Q, right? Then what is the charge of the capacitor? Don't add both the things. If I add both the things, net charge is 0. If there is no charge stored in the capacitor, there is no fun in creating such a sophisticated thing. So the charge on the capacitor is only the charge that is stored on the positive. Well, the potential of this capacitor is the potential difference between these two plates. So the charge on the capacitor is Q. The potential difference between these two plates is V. Then the capacity C is equal to Q by V. Right? Capacity is Q by V like this. Now let me multiply and divide by A. So Q by V, multiply and divide by A. Well, Q by A is called its surface charge density. So it is sigma A by V it is. Right? Multiply epsilon naught divided by epsilon naught, sigma by epsilon naught. Well, in a parallel plate capacitor, the electric field between the plates of the capacitor here, if I consider the plates of capacitor, let me put between the plates of a capacitor, suppose if I consider parallel plates like this, if I consider two parallel plates, this is plate M given a charge capital Q. This is plate N in which negative charge is induced, minus Q. Between the plates of a capacitor, a uniform electric field is set up. A uniform electric field will be formed between the plates of a capacitor with parallel electric lines of force. You know, uniform electric field, the field in which, the type of the electric field in which the magnitude of the electric field is same at all the points in the field, and the direction of the electric field is also same. Magnitude is a constant at all the points and the direction is same. So at any point the direction is same, hence the lines of force are parallel like this. Parallel lines of force are formed this way. So a uniform electric field is set up. Of course, at the edges there is a fringing of the field takes place at the edges, which is very minute because the separation between the plates is so less. The distance between them will be in millimeters. So for that small separation, the fringing at the edges is also negligible. Right? Usually fringing of the field takes place, but the separation is so small. For this thing I have put it so far, but actually the plates are very close. Usually the distance between them will be in millimeters. So the fringing is negligible. So a uniform electric field is set up between them. Now, if the surface charge density of this plate is sigma, then at this point somewhere here. Due to this, the field, electric field will be in this direction, and due to this field plate also there is electric field. So the net electric field will be total electric field between the plates. Because of this plate and this plate, the total field is sigma by 2 epsilon plus sigma by 2 epsilon. It is sigma by epsilon it is. Between the plates of a capacitor, the uniform field that is produced, a uniform constant electric field is produced between the plates, which is sigma by epsilon. So this sigma by epsilon, I can take it as E, electric field E. Well, C is equal to EA epsilon naught by V. But we know the potential V, E, between the plates, electric field E is equal to V by D. Or you can V by E, you can substitute as D. So simplifying this, V is equal to E by D. So it is EA epsilon naught by V. This is ED. E is equal to V by D. V is ED. So these two get cancelled. The capacity is A epsilon naught by D. So for a parallel plate capacitor, the capacity of a capacitor can be defined as the capacity of a parallel plate capacitor C. It is A epsilon naught by D. If a dielectric is placed between the plates of the capacitor, a dielectric placed, then the capacity is K epsilon naught by D. So this way, the capacity of a parallel plate capacitor is directly proportional to K. It is proportional to A and proportional to 1 by D. So C1 by C2 you can write as K1 by K2 into A1 by A2 into D2 by D1. This, the capacity of a parallel plate capacitor depends on three factors. Comparing two capacitors, C1 by C2, K1 by K2, A1 by A2 into D2 by D1. Well, in this capacitor, suppose the various things, let me put down all the things, what are all the various things is going to ask you regarding a parallel plate capacitor. First one, if the charge is Q, the plate area is A, then surface charge density sigma is Q by A. Or if surface charge density is given, Q is sigma A. Second, between the plates of a capacitor, the uniform electric field is produced. So E, the electric field is sigma by epsilon naught, or Q by A epsilon naught, or it is V by D. This is a constant. I am writing all the possible equations regarding a capacitor. What are all the possible things is going to ask you regarding the capacitor. Well, third, the potential difference between the plates V, it is E into D, the uniform electric field E, and the distance between the plates. The plates are separated by distance T. So therefore, V potential difference is ED, right? So the electric field intensity E into D, or you can write sigma D by epsilon naught, right? Or you can write it as QD by A epsilon naught. QD by A epsilon naught, like this way. Now, fourth point, right? What is the force of attraction between these two plates? Now this plate is positive, this plate is negative. Now positive, negative both unlike charges attract. There is force of attraction. Now what is the force of attraction between these two plates? Well, we know, I have explained the electric field intensity E, force experienced F is equal to QE. Force is F is equal to EQ. So force F is E into charge Q. So the force of attraction between them is the electric field due to this plate on this plate, due to each plate is sigma by 2 epsilon naught into charge on this plate, it is Q. So force F is equal to sigma, it's Q by 2A epsilon naught into Q, it is Q square by 2A epsilon naught. So the force of attraction between these two plates, F is Q square by 2A epsilon. Well, you can even write it as F is equal to F multiply A divided by A. It's Q square by 2A epsilon naught multiply and divide by A. This is sigma. So force is sigma square A by 2 epsilon naught it is. It is sigma square A by 2 epsilon naught. So this way you can find out the force of attraction between the two plates in terms of, you see, I am writing all the parameters that are used, that can be asked regarding a capacitor there. First, charge is Q. For a parallel plate capacitor of plate area A, distance of separation between the plates D, right, and the surface charge is Q. This is plus Q, this is minus Q, and the surface charge density of the plate is sigma. First, surface charge density is sigma, Q by A, so Q is sigma A. Then the electric field, it produces a uniform electric field. A uniform electric field is set up between the plates of a capacitor. Then the electric field is sigma by epsilon naught, or it's Q by A epsilon naught, or potential. If the potential difference between the plates is V, then electric field is V by D, where D is the separation. Next, so from this potential we can write as it is E into D, or it is E sigma by epsilon naught into D, Q by A D, like this. Then the force of attraction between the plates regarding, so force F is equal to F, it is sigma square by 2 epsilon naught, like this, right? Then from this, if I bring this A down, force per unit area, pressure, the electric pressure or energy density, it can be written as sigma square by 2 epsilon naught. So the electric pressure between the in the electric field, then that can also be determined using this energy density. After deriving the energy concept, we will speak about the energy density. So regarding the parallel plate capacitor, these are the important things that can be noted like this. Okay, right? Now, suppose if I consider different parallel plate capacitors, like suppose a parallel plate capacitor is made up of rectangular plates of length L, breadth B, right? Breadth B, like this. The separation between them is D. The separation between the plates is D. This is breadth B and the separation is D. With a medium between them of dielectric constant K, then the parallel plate capacitor can be written as it's K epsilon naught by D. So C is equal to K, it is dielectric constant A. Well, the area is length into breadth epsilon naught by D, like this, for a rectangular plate capacitor. Had this been made up of the square plates, had the capacitor been made up of the square plates of side A and separation D, then the capacity with a dielectric K between them, then the capacity with square plates, it's K, area is A square epsilon naught by D. If the plates are made up of circular plates like this, D, the radius of each plate is R, right, like this, and sorry. Suppose if the capacitor is made up of two circular plates of radius R and the space between them is filled with dielectric K, then the capacity is K. The area of each plate is pi R square epsilon naught by D. For circular plate capacitor, parallel plate capacitor, all are parallel plates. If they are rectangular plates, L into B, square plates, K square, circular plate, like this. Now a question was asked based on this one in the earlier entrance, like this. A simple spherical conductor of radius R, a simple spherical conductor of radius R and a parallel plate circular plate capacitor with plate separation D and radius small r, both are having the same capacity. If the capacity of a spherical conductor of radius capital R and this capacity of a parallel plate circular plate capacitor, parallel circular plate capacitor of radius small r, if their capacity is same, then get the relation between the radii or find the distance between the plates to be required for such condition. So if the capacity of a spherical capacitor is same as the capacity of a parallel circular plate capacitor, then what is the condition? You know, I have proved for a spherical capacitor the capacity is 4 pi epsilon naught R. The capacity of a spherical conductor, a sphere, just a sphere of radius R, the capacity 4 pi epsilon naught R. For a circular plate capacitor, just as we have proved, it is if the air is present between the plates, then it is pi R square area into epsilon naught by D. Well, the area is pi r square epsilon naught by d. So epsilon naught cancel, pi cancel. So 4 capital R is r square by d. So the relation, the radius of the spherical conductor required is r square by 4d, or the distance, the plate separation required small d is small r square by 4 capital R. Anything can be asked. So this way, for the capacity of a spherical conductor to be same as that of the capacity of a parallel plate circle capacitor, then the separation between them, then the condition required for their capacity to be equal is 4 capital R is r square by r it is. Or the separation between the plates required small d is r square by 4 capital R. So this way we can find out the relation between them, right? Now next, let us consider a spherical condenser. Consider a sphere of radius small a. A sphere of radius small a, right? A metal sphere, right? Then let it be charged with some charge capital Q. Capital Q. Now this is a simple spherical conductor where whose capacity can be determined as C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught, its radius a. But if I have to increase its capacity without changing its size, then increase the capacity abruptly by inverse number of times, then place a hollow spherical, a spherical shell, conducting spherical shell very close to it of radius small b. Place a spherical, conducting spherical shell, neutral spherical shell, conducting neutral spherical shell, right? Just concentrate it over it such that B greater than A. So A is a charged sphere. A is charged sphere of charge Q. Right? To increase its capacity, let us increase the capacity by small arrangement by placing a neutral conducting spherical shell concentric to it of radius B, given B greater than A. Then what happens? Due to the positive charge on the sphere, the inner sphere, a negative charge is induced on the inner side of the spherical shell. A negative charge is induced on the inner side of the spherical shell, right? And positive charge will appear on the outer side of the spherical shell. Well, on the outer side there is positive charge which appears like this, right? Now connect the outer side of the spherical shell to the earth. When it is earthed, when the outer surface of the bigger sphere is earthed, then all the positive charge is lost because the electrons from the earth will neutralize the positive charge. Now this will form a spherical condenser. Now this setup is called as a spherical condenser. Well, the positive charge on the inner sphere and the negative charge on the inner surface of the outer sphere. Right? So therefore, this is plus Q and this is minus Q. And there is a field that is produced between these two. Between these two, there is a field produced. Now this is called as a spherical condenser or just an ordinary sphere there. Now the potential, the charge on the capacitor is Q, and the potential difference between these two spheres, the potential difference is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by A. Well, the potential here, the difference is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by A minus Q by B. This is. Well, we have taken this in the earlier class. When there are two concentric spheres, the potential difference Q by A minus Q by B there. Right? So, the potential difference is like this. Then the capacity of a spherical condenser, we know the capacity is Q by V. So, C is equal to charge Q by, the potential difference is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, it's Q by A minus Q by B. Now, taking Q common outside, Q by 4 pi epsilon naught, it's 1 by A minus 1 by V. Now taking LCM, it's 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught of the LCM is AB is B minus A. Right? So therefore, well, 1 by 4 pi, sorry. So this is 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So this will go to the numerator. So the capacity is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught AB by B minus A. So this is the capacity of a spherical condenser. Suppose if the space between them is filled with a dielectric K, the space between them is filled with a dielectric K, then the capacity becomes in the medium. This is with air. If in the medium 4 pi epsilon naught K, it is AB by B minus A. You see the capacity C directly proportional to the product of the radii. Well, it is inversely proportional to the difference of the radii. The difference between these two is the distance between the spheres. So that is the reason I was telling you, place a spherical shell of very close to it. The radius of the outer shell is just greater than that of B. Then for small difference, there is high capacity being produced. Well, capacity depends on K like this and AB by B minus A. This is the capacity of a spherical condenser or just ordinarily you can speak it as a spherical capacitor. So 4 pi epsilon naught K AB by B minus A, this is the capacity. When the inner sphere is charged and the outer sphere is earthed, then the capacity is given by the formula C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught AB by B minus A. Instead of this setup, had the spherical condenser been formed like, so for such a setup where the inner sphere is charged with plus Q and the outer sphere is earthed, the capacity is 4 pi epsilon naught K, it's AB by B minus A. Instead of this, had the inner sphere been earthed, let's suppose the inner sphere is earthed and the outer sphere is charged like this. So this is minus negative charge induced, this is positive Q inside, and even there is charge outside like this. When the inner sphere is earthed like this way, now this is a combination of two capacitors. One is the combination, a spherical condenser of like this with inner radius A, outer radius B. Inner radius is A, outer radius is B. And there is a sphere of outer sphere of radius B there. So it is a combination of two spheres. So the resultant capacity comes out to be C is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught, right? If air is present between them, it is like this. If medium is present, K. When air is present between them, it is 4 pi epsilon naught B square by B minus A. When the inner sphere is earthed, then the capacity is 4 pi epsilon naught B square by B minus A. When the outer sphere is earthed, then it is 4 pi epsilon naught AB by B minus B. Suppose if there is air present between the plates between the two spheres like this, if air is present between them, then the capacity is 4 pi epsilon naught AB by B minus A. Well, if you take up the ratio of these both, then the ratio is A is to B. The ratio of the capacity of such setup, then it is A is to B like this, right? Thank you.